When the notary's office door clicked shut behind me, I realized everything I thought I knew about my family was a lie. In my hand trembled an envelope with my name written in my father's handwriting, confident, slightly slanted to the right, as always. But now that handwriting carried exhaustion, as if he'd written it knowing I'd never see him again. And maybe wouldn't even want to. "Mrs. Holloway," the notary called after me, and I flinched. "Are you sure you don't want to open the will here, with witnesses present?" "I'll open it at home," I said, gripping the envelope so tightly the paper crinkled. My voice sounded calm. Inside, I was boiling. Outside, the November wind lashed my face like a reminder. You're too late. Too late to say goodbye. Too late to ask. Too late to understand. At home, I didn't bother taking off my clothes, just tossed my coat onto the armchair in the hallway and walked straight to the kitchen. I poured myself a glass of wine, too generous a pour for 11 in the morning, but I didn't care. I set the glass on the table, picked up a pair of scissors, and carefully, almost ritually, slit open the envelope. Inside were not one, but 3 pages. The first was the official will, standard language, real estate to me, savings split evenly between me and my sister Lynn, family heirlooms to be divided by mutual agreement. Nothing unusual. Except for a handwritten note at the bottom: "If you two don't reconcile before my funeral, everything goes to the animal rescue charity." I snorted. Classic Dad. He'd always forced us into truces. But now it felt like mockery. The second page was shorter, a letter addressed to Lynn. I didn't read it. I flipped it over and set it aside. Nothing personal. I just didn't want to see her name. But the third letter. The third letter stopped my heart. Asterisk, "Ellen, if you're reading this, I'm already gone. And you're probably still angry. I'm sorry. But you need to know the truth I've hidden for 42 years. Lynn is not your blood sister. Your mother and I couldn't have children. We adopted her at 6 months old. But you were born much later. To someone else. Don't ask who. It doesn't matter. What matters is that I loved you both equally. But you were always my blood. My last chance. I never told you because I was afraid it would destroy you, especially you. You always clung so fiercely to the idea of family, to the belief that we were all one piece. Forgive me for this lie. And please, don't let it destroy you now. Asterisk." The glass slipped from my fingers and shattered on the tile. I didn't cry. Didn't scream. I just sank to the floor, clutching the letter to my chest as if it could stop the pain tearing me apart from the inside. Lynn wasn't my sister. And I wasn't hers. Everything we'd lived through, everything we'd fought over, everything we'd shared and hated about each other, had been built on a secret my father had carried like a bomb in his pocket. Lynn and I hadn't spoken in 7 months. Not since I accused her of manipulating Dad to get the lakeside house. And she retaliated by saying I'd spent my whole life trying to be the favorite daughter, sacrificing everyone else, especially her. We were both right. And both terribly unfair. Now, with this letter in my hands, I didn't know what to think. How to look at her. How to even call her. I reached for the phone. Lynn's number had been blocked. I unblocked it. Hit call. She answered on the 3rd ring. "Ellen." Her voice was cautious, as if she expected me to start another war. "Did you get the will?" I asked. "Yes." "Read it." "And the letter he wrote you." A pause. "He said if we don't show up to the funeral together, everything goes to the Stray Cat Rescue Fund. You know how much he loved those cats." I didn't smile. Couldn't. "He wrote me something else," I said. "What?" I took a deep breath. "He said you're not his biological daughter." Silence. Long, heavy. "I know," Lynn finally said. "What?" "I've known since I was 17. He told me himself, after I threw a fit about him loving you more." "And you never said anything?" "Why would I? He asked me not to. Especially not to you. You were in such a fragile place back then, after your divorce from Mark. He was afraid you'd think, even my dad isn't really mine." My throat tightened. "You've known this whole time?" "Yes. And all this time, I've loved you like a sister. Because you were my sister. Blood or not, it never mattered." I closed my eyes. "Are you angry?" "At him?" "A little." "At you?" "No. At fate? Maybe. But not now. Now I just want to bury him. Properly. I nodded, though she couldn't see. Come by tomorrow, I said. We'll figure this out. I'll bring coffee. Your favorite, with almond milk. Thank you. The next morning, Lynn arrived with a paper bag and 2 large cups. We sat in the kitchen the way we used to as kids on old stools by the window, watching a light rain fall outside. I held the second letter, the one Dad had written to her. She'd let me read it. Asterisk, Lynn, you've always been smarter than you believed, stronger than you showed, and kinder than you allowed yourself to be. Don't blame Ellen. She's just afraid of being alone. Like me. Like you. Take care of her. Even if she starts another war. Especially then. Asterisk. I handed the letter back. He saw us, I whispered. He saw us and loved us anyway, Lynn said. Even when we acted like the most selfish pair alive. I never thought you knew. I thought you knew too. He once said, Ellen knows, but pretends she doesn't. I assumed he meant something else. We both laughed, awkwardly, sadly. Why didn't you tell me after he died? Because I was scared. That you'd see it as betrayal. That you'd say, you kept this secret all these years? And would I have? Probably, she admitted. But you know what? I'd still have told you. Just a little later. When you were ready. We sat in silence. I missed you, I said, surprising even myself. Me too, she replied. Even when I hated you. The funeral was quiet. Only a few of us, Dad's old friends, neighbors, a couple of distant relatives. Lynn and I stood side by side, no hand-holding, but no distance either. Like 2 trees that grew from roots tangled in the same earth, no matter whose seed had been planted. After the service, we drove to his lakeside house, the very one we'd fought over. He left it to both of us, Lynn said, pulling off her coat. I say we sell it. What if we keep it? I suggested. As our place. Our place. A place to remember him. And to learn how to be sisters again. She studied me for a long moment. Then nodded. Only one condition. What? You stop trying to pay for everything. I have a right to spend money on repairs too. I smiled. Deal. For weeks, we worked on the house, took down old wallpaper, cleaned the fireplace, hauled out furniture. We talked little, but every word mattered. Sometimes about childhood. Sometimes about husbands, kids, work. But often, we just sat in silence. And that silence no longer felt hostile. One evening, as we sat on the porch with glasses of wine, now sensibly poured, Lynn asked, Have you ever wondered who your real father is? I shook my head. No. And I don't want to know. My father is the man who raised me. Who read me bedtime stories, took me on vacations, helped with homework. Even if we didn't share DNA, we shared a life. That's enough. She nodded. I feel the same. Though, I paused. Sometimes I wish I could ask him, why did you choose me? Maybe because you were already there, Lynn said softly. And he couldn't say no to you. Just like I couldn't say no to you, even when you were unbearable. I laughed. Was I really that bad? Terrible. And you? Twice as bad. We laughed, genuinely, easily. For the first time in years. 3 months passed. We still argued about apple pie recipes, who got Dad's vintage watch collection, whether we should get a dog. But now arguments didn't end with slammed doors. They ended with tea. And sometimes hugs. One day, I found an old box in the basement labeled for the girls. Inside were 2 small jewelry boxes. Mine held a tiny bracelet engraved Ellen. Hers held star-shaped earrings. At the bottom of each was a note. Asterisk, if you're reading this, you made it. You stayed sisters. I always knew you would. Love you forever. Dad. Asterisk. We sat on the basement floor, holding the letters in silence. He believed in us, Lynn said. Even when we didn't believe in each other, I added. What now? I looked at her. Now we build a new family. Not the one we had, but the one we'll have. She reached out her hand. I took it. Today, exactly 1 year after his death, Lynn and I are back at the lake. With us are our children, my grandchildren, her nephews whom she practically raised. They run through the yard, laughing, skipping stones across the water. We sit in the same spot where we sat that first evening after the funeral. Do you think he sees us? She asks. Probably not, I say. But I like to believe he does. She smiles. Then let him see. And in that moment, the wind rustles the leaves, sunlight dances on the water, and the kids shout about a dragonfly. And I understand. Family isn't blood. It's choice. Every day, you choose to stay or leave, to forgive or hold on to anger, to speak the truth or stay silent. We chose to stay. And maybe that's the truest kind of love.